Hi everyone and welcome back to another true crime video. I am in the process of doing a longer video than what I usually would. Still not fully finished yet, but what I thought would be best is, instead of leaving you a long period of time without a video, I thought I'd just get one in. So before I get into today's video, I'd just basically like to say that I mean no disrespect to anyone involved. All I've done is done a little bit of research into the case and put it together for a video for you guys. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the honour killing of Sarah and Amina Said. Amina and Sarah were born in 1989 and 1990 in Bedford, Texas. They also had an older brother called Islam Said. Their parents were Patricia Owens and Yaser Said. I'm sorry if I pronounced his name wrong. So a little bit of background towards the parents, so Patricia and Yaser. Yaser married Patricia in February of 1987. This was when Patricia was only 15 years old and Yaser was actually 30 years old. They both met at a convenience store that Yaser worked at. Patricia claimed she did this so that she could move out of a life of poverty and she could move in with someone who could provide for her and respected her.
I don't think it was love. I think it was just, we were so poor, I just wanted to get out of the house. You know, he promised everything. Oh, everything, you know, your life is going to be better.
So the two of them got married, and it ended up coming out that Yaser had actually been given false promises to Patricia, and that he wasn't actually this rich, well-off man that he claimed he was. And he actually, in fact, made her work a lot of the time just to provide for the family. Throughout their marriage, Patricia claims that she was actually abused by Yaser, and that it'd be about 3 or 4 times a week that this abuse would take place, and he'd kick and hit her, and all these types of physical abuse as well as mental abuse. She wasn't actually allowed to talk to her family, and when she did want to, she had to get permission from Yaser, and she also had to say, if she phoned them, she had to have them on loudspeaker for him to hear, so he knew exactly what she was saying to them. And as time went on, as the relationship carried on, he'd threaten her a lot more. So that's just a little bit of background towards Patricia and Yaser's relationship and how he was with her. So in 1998, when Amina and Sarah were 9 and 8 years old, they actually told their grandmother that their father was sexually abusing them. Following many police reports and also investigations, it turned out that he was in fact found guilty of doing this. And Yaser was actually indicted for sexual penetration on his own daughters. And then at this point, so the grandmother had actually turned him in. But before the trial, their case was actually dropped, as Amina and Sarah had both admitted that they'd made it up. They said that they'd made these false claims about the father. But the grandmother believes that Yaser had actually, forced them to withdraw what they'd said and said that it was all false to stop him from actually going to jail. Patricia claimed that he was a loving father and he'd never do anything like this to his own daughters, and that he was sweet with the girls and that he loved them and he'd never do such a thing. However, later on it was revealed that Patricia had known about this abuse and obviously stood by Yaser to prevent him going to jail, and this was stated by some of the close relatives. And she was actually the one that had told the girls to take back what they'd said so that their daddy wouldn't go to prison. Even though there was this whole claim about him not being sexually abusive towards his children, videos did actually come out which kind of proved and more strongly towards that there was sexual abuse involved. And from some of the videos and what other people had claimed, he would zoom into different parts of the girl's body and make inappropriate and quite disturbing comments about it as well. I'll just play a video for you now and then you can kind of see what I'm talking about.
Sleep with her pants. Nice eggs. Very nice.
Why you love that? Get out! I'm erasing this tape.
No, you can't.
Yes, I will. This is illegal. Do I videotape you and you're sleeping?
So on top of sexually abusing the girls, he would actually also physically abuse the girls as well. It was said that Amina would often turn up to school with cuts and bruises on her, and she also came in and told people at the school that her father was the one that was doing this to her, but it seemed like nothing was getting done to do with it. She'd been given warnings saying, oh, this is happening, but nothing seemed to be done about it all. Although she had cuts on her face and bruises, her mother Patricia didn't actually let her seek any medical attention. So Yaser was born in Egypt in 1957 and held on to the regressive ideas of Egyptian society, so like he was a strong believer in what they preached. This meant that he completely disapproved of any boyfriends that either of the girls would have or would be looking for. Like he would not allow that at all. So Amina had actually met someone, and she met this person through Taekwondo that she used to go to. I'll get into a little bit more details about that soon, but that's just where this idea of them not allow boyfriends or anything comes from, and it kind of stems from this whole situation. Before this, when Amina was actually 16 years old, her father took her to Egypt. She was taken there to be married off to one of her father's friends who was 40 years old. Bear in mind she was only 16 years old at the time. He'd actually planned to give her away to the highest bidder if that wasn't successful, so it kind of shows you what he was like as a parent. Like, he didn't really care, and he just, when he got the chance, he just wanted to get rid as soon as possible. Amina had obviously refused this. Like, who in their right mind would want to be sold to a highest bidder? It just seems... Anyway, so obviously this had really angered Yaser, and he was obviously really frustrated by this because obviously he says what goes and she wasn't cooperating with it. So as I was saying, the person from Taekwondo, he was actually called Joseph Moreno, and the both of them met in 2004 in the Taekwondo studio that Amina attended. According to an article written by Joseph, they formed a mutual crush on each other, but Amina wasn't actually allowed to speak to him or be seen with him or around him, and it made it a little bit more difficult as well to see each other because of they both went to different high schools.
We both felt like what we had was very real, and it was very, very much worth fighting for, and to her it was worth dying for.
Joseph remembers Amina stating that she had to only speak to him in a certain part of the studio entrance. This was because she didn't want to be seen by her father, and in this particular spot she wouldn't have been able to be seen, say if he was driving past or something, or spying, which is something that he did. So as I say, Yaser had a tendency to spy on his two girls and actually watching them through binoculars and literally videotaping them without their knowledge. According to Patricia, Yaser would actually take his camera literally anywhere just so that he could keep an eye on the girls and make sure that they wasn't doing anything he disapproved of. He also bugged the cars and then did checks on the mileage to make sure they were not going elsewhere where they'd said they'd been. He was really, really controlling the two girls. A video that Yaser took of Sarah at her job and was also claiming that she was in big trouble because she was smiling too much at some of the customers. And this was not to his liking, he didn't like her to smile at people.
She smiled to the customers.
She has to, part of her job.
She's in trouble.
Amina stated that she was also really worried, that he'd be watching her from somewhere from binoculars, even if he'd left the country. She'd always have that instinct that he could be somewhere, looking at her, constantly monitoring her. Amina and Joseph actually pursued a relationship, and this relationship lasted 4 years. Of course, this relationship was a secret because obviously she didn't want her father to know about it, which is completely understandable. And she was actually scared of what her father was going to do to her boyfriend if he ever found out. According to Joseph, Yaser would actually confiscate her phone. He'd do random checks as well. He'd go through her phone, see who she's been texting. And something that Joseph and Amina was on a mutual level was that if she texted him the number 7, then he wasn't to reply to any of the texts that he got sent from her number. Amina told Joseph that her father would obviously take her phone, so what that started was them writing letters. So they write letters back and forth to each other now so that they didn't have to text. And then this is one of the letters that she actually wrote to him. Eventually, Yaser found these notes and asked who they were from, and Amina said that it was a made-up boyfriend that she was speaking to. Yaser obviously didn't believe her story, so he picked the whole family up and he travelled 60 miles to Louisville in Texas. Amina lost contact with Joseph, but was eventually able to get a secret phone that she could use to contact him on. And then at this point, this is when they started planning their escape to run away together. They planned to run off together, travel to Vegas and get married and cut all ties off with the family. And then from this point, they planned to live together out in Vegas. But a little bit before this, the initial contact, Amina contacted the Taekwondo studio that she used to train at by email and basically said, would you be able to let Joseph know that I'm okay, this is what's happened, and then this is what I'm going to plan to do. So he actually told Joseph's mum about Amina's situation, and the two of them would email back and forth. And then some things that they talk about was that Yaser would actually want to kill Joseph if he ever found out about it. She also told her about the abuse as well that they went through. So after Joseph heard the news about her being okay and about the plan that they'd made, he obviously wanted to make the relationship work and to get her out of the situation that she was in. So he actually ended up dropping out of school. So he got his GED and he worked in a factory to help save up money for them both. After Amina had moved out to Louisville, Yaser had carried on abusing her and was demanding to know who she was seeing. But Amina had refused to let him know his name, as she thought that he was going to kill him if he ever found out who it was. So Joseph's name was not mentioned at any point to her father. Amina always had this gut feeling and this instinct that she knew that Yaser was going to kill her at some point. This was obviously stated by Joseph's mum, as she had one of the closest personal contacts with her, through email, as they did used to talk about quite a lot of stuff to do with the abuse, like I mentioned. Amina often said that she was serious to Joseph's mother when she quoted, "Oh, he will kill me." At some point she stated that this was true and she really did believe this. She did also mention this to her friends in school and also her boyfriend as well. So like I said before, there was signs there was things that were being told that she thought about this, she thought that something like this was going to happen. But again, nothing really seemed to be done about it. So in December 25th, 2007, Sarah, Patricia and Amina had actually run away from Louisville in Texas and moved over to Kansas. There they stayed with Patricia's aunt and Sarah's boyfriend and another friend to escape Yaser's abuse. Phone records actually show that Patricia did keep in contact with Yaser and Islam when they had run away. There was no complete end, this is it, they're not going to talk anymore, she still, communicated with him. Sarah and Amina had actually mentioned while in Kansas to their mother that they were hoping to run away with both of them, but she didn't allow this. However, Patricia claimed that she was afraid of Yaser and she wouldn't return to him. Islam, their brother, actually filed a missing persons report after the group of them ran away. Patricia soon informed her aunt that they was going to actually move out and rent out an apartment in Tulsa in Oklahoma under an alias to ensure that Yaser didn't actually know where they were or was able to find them. Patricia claimed that Kansas just wasn't the place to be. When in Tulsa, Islam begged them all to come back and stated that the father had missed them. He wanted them back. Patricia's sister told her that it was a trick, and as you could probably understand and interpret, it probably was from the situation that happened previously. Amina begged Patricia not to return, because she knew upon return that her father would just kill them. According to emails and texts between Joseph and Amina, Amina informed Joseph that Patricia started having second thoughts and started to feel really guilty about leaving Yaser and felt really bad. And then this obviously really worried Amina, because she had the thought that because she was feeling guilty that she'd take them back to Louisville. Amina told Joseph and Joseph's mother that Patricia would actually stuck up for them both, the two girls, when Yaser was abusing them or saying things to them. Both the girls said that they was obviously afraid and scared of their father and that they didn't want to go back to Texas at all. On December 29th, 2007, after multiple phone calls, Patricia had actually agreed to go back to Texas. Patricia had told Amina that she was to stay there for the new year and obviously to visit her grandma's grave as well. On December 30th, 2007, on the way back from Louisville, Texas, Patricia informed the girls that she was returning Amina and Sarah back to Texas with her. On December 31st of the same year, Patricia informed the girls that she wasn't actually returning back to Tulsa. Amina called up Patricia's sister to inform her that Patricia had actually returned back to seeing Yaser again. Amina texted her boyfriend Joseph begging him to come and help save her and help her escape, knowing and having the thought that Yaser was going to kill them at some point. Amina left her home in the morning of January 1st, 2008 and received multiple calls from her mother Patricia asking her to return home. She obviously adamantly refused and basically stating, "No, I'm not coming home because I've got the idea that Yaser was going to kill her." Patricia then came to pick her up and actually took her back herself, returning to the home. That night, Yaser asked the girls, Sarah and Amina, to actually go out to dinner with them so that they could talk about what's happened. But on this drive to where they thought they was going out for a meal, something absolutely terrible happened. He drove them from Louisville to Irving and actually shot them 11 times in the back of his taxi in the parking lot of the Omni Mandalay Hotel.
Who would think that their father would kill them?
think it takes a pretty evil person to murder your two daughters.
He's a monster.
Yaser fled the scene after shooting both his daughters, and phone records actually show that Patricia called him shortly after he'd actually shot them. Yaser was not actually found by authorities and was placed on the FBI most wanted list. So what I'm going to play you now is the recording of the 911 phone call that was made, and from this you can hear how distressing the scenes was for Sarah and Amina.
Irving 911, what is your emergency? What's going on, ma'am?
I'm dying, that's what's up.
Okay, let me transfer you. I'm gonna get fire department online, okay? Hold on one sec, okay?
Oh my God.
Irving Fire Department. Ma'am, are you still there? Ma'am, are you still there? All I've got is she's telling me she's dying. I've got a, why are you still there, ma'am? Ma'am, what is your address? Ma'am.
It's suspected by Patricia and her family that Yaser's brothers actually helped him flee and go into hiding, and that were currently protecting him from the local authorities. The brother that he is closest to is Yasin, I think that's how you pronounce it. According to Patricia, Yaser would tell his brother literally everything. Yaser actually spoke to him a total of 861 minutes in the week prior to the murder, with several phone calls in one of the days. A 12-minute phone call appears on Yaser's phone to his brother a total of 3.5 hours later than when Sarah actually phoned to report the whole incident to police. Although this call was actually made to his brother, police never actually questioned him on it, even though they knew that the call was made to him, but there was still no questioning. Their brother Islam's versions of events about the murder would kind of fluctuate, like there'd never be a full solid story. He said that his father didn't kill them and the two girls got what they deserved, and also that his father should turn himself in and that his father was probably dead. So there was all these like different stories that Islam was saying, and it was just really confusing, the whole situation. And then he also said that he killed the girls because their mum left Yaser and it was their fault. Multiple photos and videos show the girls and Islam holding guns. One picture was found of Yaser actually holding a knife up to Patricia's neck, and he'd claimed that it was a complete joke and that it wasn't a serious thing. Irving police never actually questioned Islam either. Again, why? They didn't actually seem interested in interviewing anyone, even the Saids, like the main family. As I say in every video, everyone should be like trialed as a suspect until they prove that it's not them. You should always class everyone, especially close family, as suspects. I mean, it's not nice in some situations, but until you get a clear idea and you have the complete full knowledge of it, everyone should be considered a suspect. Patricia claims that if Irving police actually did some deep searching, they would find out where Yaser is. Patricia's aunt claims that they don't actually want the case solving for some unknown reason. The investigation by police and the FBI seem to be dismissing the case, not really taking any interest in it as much. Patricia at one point said that she didn't want Yaser's picture to be known or out there on the FBI's most wanted list, and to actually leave him alone. A detective did state that he knows that Patricia is a liar and she is definitely hiding something. Patricia's claims are also fluctuating like the brothers was doing. At some point she was saying that he needs to be hunted down, they need to find him, blah blah blah, and then she'd also say that he was caring and sweet and he'd never murder his own kids, he'd never do anything like that. So there's these two different stories that are coming from everyone, and it just seems like such a really weird and confusing situation. There is also suspicions that Yaser is still in Dallas, Texas, but is being protected by his family. So I'm kind of putting this video out there as a hopes that people actually take notice that this stuff does actually go on. And as the girls were being really vocal about it, they were telling their friends, they were telling people who were closest to them, and even the boyfriends and everything, that this was going on. And in some instances there was help there, but it didn't help as much to protect them and keep them alive. If you do hear anything like this, please do let the authorities know, because you could actually help prevent this from happening again. But yeah, like, this abuse and everything does go on in people's homes, and people are not aware about these things. So if you are experiencing it, even, be vocal about it. Let people know, because it can progress further and things can be solved quickly, and you shouldn't be afraid to let anyone know. And also, I know Sarah did have a boyfriend in this situation. I haven't really covered much of his, but I felt that Joseph's involvement in this whole case was a little bit more detailed. That's why I did focus on their relationship more than the other. But yeah, I hope you did find this video interesting and it did make you aware of any situation that's going on. And I will be bringing out videos weekly. As I say, there's a video that I'm working on currently at the moment. I'd like to get that finished by next week. But it's such a wide, controversial case, and there's been a lot of speculation on the internet as well, so that's something that I want to make sure some things don't come across as biased compared to other things, and there's as much information in there as I can put so that you can formulate your own opinion on it. But yeah, please, if you are new, subscribe to the channel and turn the notification bell on so that you can keep up to date with my videos. I'll also be posting quite regularly on Twitter any updates or any news that I find about any of the cases that I've done in the videos. Say, like, if there's an update to one of the cases. So my Twitter is @LukeMorris, another S and then an underscore. I'll put it up on the screen anyway. And then if you did find this informative, please do like the video, and as I say, please do subscribe. Thanks for watching today's video.